Hey Legacy community, it's Terra Master, and welcome to another edition of What's in the BoGX. And today, I hope you guys are ready to Chazz it up. Say it with me, Chazz it up, Chazz it up. Because we're going to be talking about the one and only Chazz Princeton and all his related cards. As you can see, there are a ton of cards in this episode, so let's just dive right into this head first. And we'll start, of course, with one of his signature lines of cards. That's the Armed Dragons. We start with the Armed Dragon level 3, which is simply making it survive until your standby phase, and then you can send it to the graveyard to special summon an Armed Dragon level 5. Armed Dragon level 5 now has a neat effect. You send a monster from your hand to the graveyard to target a monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to the monster you discarded, and that target is destroyed. So it's essentially monster removal, if you have the right card in your hand, of course. Which, if you're playing the Armed Dragons, you should have either another level 5 or maybe even a level 7 or level 10 in your hand. In addition, if Armed Dragon level 5 destroys a monster at battle, in the end phase you can send it to the graveyard to special summon a level 7. And then level 7 has a similar effect where it discards a card from your hand, except it destroys all monsters your opponent controls to attack less than or equal to that sent monster. So just like a AoE kind of board wipe potential effect instead of just the one targeting effect there. Also doesn't target, so that's useful for some things that may not be hit by targeting effects. So very good there. And then it says nothing about Armed Dragon level 10. You'll notice, because Armed Dragon level 10 is actually just summoned by its own effect, where you special summon it simply by tributing a level 7, and you send any card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy all face of monster your opponent controls. So this is essentially Lightning Vortex, for those of you that know about that card from the TCG. Now, that's a really signature archetype of Chazz Princeton, and this is where I would like to see a skill come in for Chazz, which is either for just Armed Dragons or Armed Dragons and all other LV monsters, potentially. Or the third potential could be to do some kind of Ojama Armed Dragon combination. I'll go into why that is in a few minutes here. So let's talk about the other LV monsters first. We've got Horus level 4. If it destroys a monster at battle, you can send it to the graveyard to special summon a Horus level 6. You also got Horus level 6 then, which is unaffected by spell effects. So Horus level 6 actually helps you feel safe from Parasite Paranoid. In addition to that, if it destroys a monster at battle, you can summon Horus level 8. Horus level 8 straight up negates all spell cards, so that's really good for both. Your opponent can't play things like Union Hanger, Parasite, Allure of Darkness, so many different things that Horus level 8 just takes care of that are in the Speed Duel meta right now. So how do you set these dragons up? One way to do it is going to be Masked Dragon. When it's destroyed by battle, send it to the graveyard, you put summon a dragon type monster level 50 with 1500 or less attacking your deck. Now this doesn't work for the Horus. However, it's actually really good with the Armed Dragon, since you can float into Masked Dragon until you're ready to float into your Armed Dragon level 3, and then it survives during the standby phase, and you, boom, get your 5. So that's some potential there. There's also the potential to have level up, where you send a LV monster, you can do the graveyard and special summon a monster from your hand or deck that's listed in the sent monster's text, ignoring summoning conditions. Love that card text. Konami does as well, obviously. So this can be used with either of the LV monsters I talked about here, and also the one that we already have in Speed Duels, but that one's not very good. I think it's Dark Lucius, so we're not even going to talk about that one. We have level modulation here too, which allows your opponent to draw 2 cards. That's right, it's Greed of Pot, not Pot of Greed. Special summons a LV monster from your graveyard, ignoring summoning conditions. The monster special summon cannot attack nor activate or apply its effects this turn, so it has a very big drawback. 2 very big drawbacks, in fact. Not only can that monster not attack or activate its effects this turn, but your opponent gets the Pot of Greed. So this card probably won't see play, just because the restrictions on it are probably a bit too much. And then obviously, the more powerful potential that LV decks have, the more likely I think it is that we get a side deck card against them like this. So this is leveled down. It selects the LV monster It returns it to the owner's deck and special summons one monster from the owner's graveyard with the same number but lower LV. So you can downgrade, but not only is this a side deck card against those cards, because like if you want to get rid of one of these cards, there are probably better ways to out them. So that's what it seems like at first glance, right? However, this can also be a dodge effect, and you'll be like, what the hell are you talking about with dodge effects? So like if your opponent targets your Armed Dragon level 10 with Offerings to the Doomed, you flip level down, you turn that level 10 to a level 7, now your opponent Offerings was essentially negated, so or essentially used up to get rid of your spell card, and they have to skip their draw phase. So kind of like Book of Moon in that instance, except it dodges things that Book of Moon wouldn't even dodge, right? So there's a thing. Also, it's quick play, so you can use it to surprise level down and get an extra attack in during your battle phase as well. So it does have its uses. It does have its uses. And that's actually all there is to the Armed Dragons. So let's move on to the Ojamas. We've got Ojama Blue, which is the Searcher. It's when it's your battle, you search 2 Ojama cards from your deck to your hand. Cards, not just monsters, but it searches for cards. So it can search for any of the spells that we're going to talk about, as well as the trap we're going to see. So first we have 3 vanilla monsters, yellow, green, black. Then we have Ojama Country, which really is once per turn special summon an Ojama monster from your graveyard. So really good there. Ojama Country is essentially to special summon a Ojama monster once per turn, and also to discard an Ojama card. Right, now that matters because, as you'll see right here with Ojama Magic, when it's sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you add an Ojama green, yellow, and black from your deck to your hand. So it's a triple search if you send it off of Ojama Country. Now, of course, the risk with playing Ojama is obviously you have to run garbage in your deck. However, it can be worth it when you have cards like this, which is Ojama Match. You set an Ojama card from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, and then add to your hand an Ojama monster with a different name and an Armed Dragon monster from your deck and or graveyard. Then you normal summon one of those monsters immediately. During your main phase, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target 3 Ojama monsters, shuffle the dead draw card. So kind of a Jar of Avarice effect there at the end. However, the big deal from this is the double search. You get an Ojama monster and an Armed Dragon monster, and you can either search that from your deck or recycle it from your graveyard. So very advantageous card here. And this could allow the combination of the Armed Dragon Ojama deck that I talked about, which given a good skill could actually be a competitive deck. And let's talk about Ojama Simulation. So you reveal a light machine fusion monster from your extra deck. Now here is a perfect chance to talk about the Ojama Knight and the Ojama King. So the Ojama Knight is any 2 Ojama monsters. So no specifics there. And you can select the 2 of your opponent's monster zones. They cannot be used. Then you have Ojama King, which is green, yellow, and black. Specifically selected 3 of your opponent's monster card zones. The selected zones cannot be used. Now this card is only acceptable to me to add to speed duels if it's not easy to summon. So you know how I've always talked about, like, hey, we should have skills that make this monster easy to summon or that monster easy to summon. Well, this monster specifically, I think should not be easy to summon. So therefore, Ojama King, I think, will get printed. However, I don't think it'll be easy to summon. Like, you'll actually have to find a way to fusion summon it with something like Ojama Simulation. You reveal a light machine monster from your extra deck and banish any number of Ojama monsters, special summon fusion materials with different names, whose names are specifically assigned a card revealed from your hand, deck, or graveyard, equal to the number of monsters banished to activate its effect. So essentially, you're using Ojama monsters as a cost to summon any number of fusion materials for a light machine fusion monster, and then you banish it from your graveyard again to get the Jar of Avarice effect from your banish pile. So it kind of works with itself there, where you kind of use it to banish Ojama monsters, and then you can use it to recycle those banished Ojama monsters to get a draw. Not too bad. Then you've got Ojama Delta Hurricane. You only activate it when you have green, yellow, and black specifically on the field. Destroy all cards in your opponent's side of the field. It's a complete board wipe to your opponent's field. If you can somehow do this and then follow up with another good play, then you're going to be looking really, really good. Ojama Pajama. If an Armed Dragon monster, that's actually the real name of the card. Yes, I'm not making that up. You can see it right there. It's a real card. Look it up. If an Armed Dragon monster and or light fusion monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish an Ojama card from your hand, field, or graveyard instead. So this is really, really good for one simple reason, that it can A, For one thing, it protects your Armed Dragon level 3, which could actually be really, really important and get your Armed Dragon piece of your deck or your Armed Dragon deck going, right? Piece of your deck, you'd have to have some Ojama cards. And then it also has 2 other effects. During the main phase, you can add an Ojama card from your deck in your hand, then discard a card. Again, really good because Ojamas do rely on graveyard and graveyard effects quite a bit. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon as many banished Ojama monsters as possible. So here's how you kind of spam the field and set up for a big play like potentially the Hurricane or the Simulation. And speaking of special summoning, there is Super Team Buddy Force Unite, which is technically a Ojama card, or it has Ojama art. However, it is very generic in its effect because you target a face-up monster on the field, either side of the field. Special summon a monster from your hand or graveyard with the same type, but with a different name. So, like, the point here would be to use an Ojama to summon another Ojama, theoretically with this deck. However, you could also use it to have an Armed Dragon, to summon to summon Horus, you know, a dragon to summon a dragon, like whatever. All I'll say about this card is I really enjoyed playing this card in Duel Links. It was fun to play in a lot of different decks, and I think it would be in speed duels as well. So for that reason, I think this is a fun card and also a balanced one. So I think it would be really good to have a card like this in speed duels. It would just make a lot of decks a lot more fun and interesting. In addition to all that, if it's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, so Breaker, Night Beam, all that cool stuff that's played in speed duels right now, you just set another Super Team Buddy Force Unite directly from your deck, so you don't actually lose, you might actually gain since you're thinning your deck. Then moving on past all the Ojama artwork and the Ojama cards, we've got V Tiger Jet and W Wing Catapult, which are basically the X-Set Cannon and Y Dragon Head of GX for Chazz. And they actually combine, they don't do much, just the standard union effects, and they combine into a VW Tiger Catapult, which discards a card and target one monster your opponent controls and change its battle position, which is, you know, obviously not a great effect compared to X, Y, and Z. And then you've also got VWXYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon. Now what's cool about this is it actually combines the new ones with the old XYZ. It combines VW Tiger Catapult and XYZ Dragon Cannon. So again, you would have to get a huge union skill, I think, to make this card even like kind of playable. Once per turn, you target one card your opponent controls and you straight up banish it. No discard cost. And when it declares an attack, you can change the attack target's battle position too, so you can do damage even if they're in defense mode, and if they're, you know, a big monster in attack mode, you can switch them to defense and run over them, whatever, right? So really cool card, however really hard to summon, so you're going to need a even stronger union skill, if that makes any sense at all, to summon this. Then let's get into like other random Chazz related cards, and first is Chitonian, god that's hard to say, Soldier. When it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, when this card is destroyed, by an opponent's attacking monster, the bad damage you took is also inflicted to your opponent. Not any kind of a good effect. I don't think it'll be played. It's basically bad Amazon the Swordswoman, so why would you ever run this card? However, it's a Chazz card, so I just threw it in here. What the heck? Kenmoto Dragon, I think, is very interesting. Now, I put this card in here for one really good reason, I think. And that is specifically that when Matt still had a Discord server, a lot of people on there asked him if there would be dragon support in the Battle City box. He said, oh no, I forgot about dragons or something along those lines. And he said, I would do them next time, right? So if that message of people want dragon support got passed on to whoever's in charge of Speed Duels now, and whoever was in charge of putting together this Duel Academy box, then I think we might have some dragon support in this Duel Academy box, and Kenmoto Dragon is a huge part of that. If it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, you see that's really cool. You special summon a dragon monster from your hand, so you can foolish burial this thing to the graveyard. It can be sent from your field like normal, right? Or you can just discard it for a cost from your hand. A lot of different ways to go ahead and trigger this effect and special summon a dragon monster from your hand. You can't special summon other monsters except dragons the turn you activate the effect, nor can you conduct your battle phase. So it does have restrictions. However, if you can figure out a way to send this to your graveyard on your opponent's turn, like end phase or something, then you can go ahead and attack almost immediately with your dragon that you special off of it. Speaking of dragons, we've also got Vanguard of the Dragon, where you discard a dragon against your attack, and when it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target a dragon type normal monster in either player's graveyard and special summon that target. So this is probably going to be used with like Blue Eyes or maybe even Red Eyes in Speed Duels right now, but I can't think of anything else. Serpent Knight Dragon, actually, maybe? Bring the serpents back? Who knows? Probably not. Too many counters. Alright. Magical Mallet is also a card that Chazz played, which again, it's like Chthonian Soldier. Whatever, I still can't say it. But, so probably not a good card. Probably won't be used. It's a -1 for you. So just Chazz, just a Chazz card. That's why it's here. Dragon's Mirror actually might have some playability depending on the fusions we get. And one of the big fusions that would actually, sorry, my allergies are crazy today, so I have to itch my eyes constantly. But one of the fusions we might actually get that might make Dragon's Mirror particularly playable is 5-headed dragon. Any 5 dragon monsters, and you get a 5,000 attack point beater. That is absolutely ridiculous. One of the big problems with Speed Duels right now is that we don't have enough things that can get over a 3,500 monster in Moth. Well, here's one for you. So, Dragon's Mirror, if you can set up your graveyard to have enough materials for it, boom, 5-headed dragon. Just a thought that we get both these cards. I think it's likely, so let's see if it actually happens, huh? You also have Inferno Reckless Summon. When exactly a monster of 15 or less attack is special summoned, while your opponent controls a monster, you can play Inferno Reckless Summon and special summon many monsters with the same name from a hand, deck, or graveyard. Also, your opponent special summons any monster with the same name as one of their face-up monsters. So it's risky. It's very risky because your monster is restricted to have 15 or less attack that you're spamming, but your opponent can potentially spam anything. However, they cannot ignore summoning conditions, so if they have something that requires a specific summoning condition for them to summon, then they can't do anything while you can go ahead and spam your field. So this is just about like gaining advantage here. Also, this is also God card support, very sneaky God card support, so watch out for that piece of that as well, since it gives you the three tributes you need for summoning a God card. You got Chthonian Blast. When a face-up monster you can destroy it, send it to the graveyard, destroy a monster your opponent's side of the field that has the lowest attack and inflict damage to both players equal to half their monster attack. Again, I don't think this is a very good card. Since it is a bit situational, it waits for you to lose a monster before being activatable. Battle traps aren't very good anyway because of how much back row hate there is, and it does do burn damage. However, it burns you as the owner of the card as well. So for those reasons, I don't think it's a very good card, but again, Chazz card, you play it. Now, Chthonian Polymer may be a card that will be used against fusion decks specifically, if fusion is meta. Because when your opponent fusion summons a fusion monster, you tribute a monster, you take control of your opponent's fusion monster that they just fusion summoned. So side deck against fusion decks, maybe. That's the niche use I can think for it. And again, it's a Chazz card. These Chthonian cards are a Chazz card. I'm surprised Konami didn't make this like a full-blown archetype. But yeah, that's all I've got on Chazz likely cards. I do want to talk about one card that is actually, I think, unlikely, but it had such an impact on the TCG meta when it came out that I do want to discuss it, and that is Light and Darkness Dragon. So it can be special summoned, so 2 tributes, right? However, it's actually a ridiculous card. So it loses exactly 500 attack and death whenever a spell card, trap card, and monster effect is activated, and then it negates that activation. And when it's destroyed, you target a monster in your graveyard and destroy all cards you control, special summon that monster. So this card is really good because look, it negates everything your opponent activates, right? And when they finally weaken it enough to run over it with something, it special summons another. It floats into any monster in your graveyard that's summonable. So actually a really, really insane card. And the reason I don't think this will be in Speed Duels is because in TCG it was already a pain, right? And then on top of that, in Speed Duels we have less cards to deal with this to kind of wear it down, its attack and defense. In addition to that, we also have less life points where you can't survive as many turns of Light and Darkness Dragon kind of dominating the field. So for those two reasons, I think a card like this is very unhealthy for the speed duel format, and why I think it won't be printed. So let me know if you disagree though. Let me know if you disagree on all of this, or if there's something you think I missed, because that's all I got for the Chazz Princeton episode. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, Terra Master out.